The only way to win with a toxic person is not to play. That quote by Mandy Hale says it all. But what if I told you there's one sentence that does more than just stop playing? It makes the narcissist fear you forever? Yes, just one powerful sentence that can turn the tables, end their control, and set you free. Sounds impossible, right? That's what they want you to believe. Narcissists thrive on control, manipulation, and fear. They make you question yourself, blame yourself, and even hate yourself. But the moment you see through their act, the moment you realize that you hold the power, everything starts to change. This is not just about calling them out. It's about breaking their mask, showing them you're no longer scared, and walking away stronger. And no, you don't need to shout, argue, or fight. You just need the right words, spoken with calm strength. In this video, I'm going to take you step by step through the mindset, the moment, and finally the sentence that shatters their control. If you've ever felt trapped, confused, or broken by someone who always made it about them, then you're in the right place. This might just be the moment you've been waiting for. So stay with me till the very end, because not only will I reveal that one sentence, I'll also explain exactly why it works. And hey, if you feel this message hits home, show some love by joining our growing community. We're a safe space for healing, learning, and standing up to emotional abuse. You're not alone anymore. This isn't just a video. It's your turning point. Let's dive in and take back your power, one word at a time. Narcissists like to appear perfect. They wear a mask every day, pretending to be kind, smart, or powerful. But deep down, they are very scared people. They don't want others to see their true selves. They want to stay in control by making others feel small, guilty, or unsure of themselves. That's how they keep power. But here's something they never expect, that one day you'll see through their act. And when that happens, you won't need to scream or argue. You'll only need one sentence, a sentence strong enough to shake their fake world. This sentence doesn't have to be long or loud. What matters is the truth behind it. Narcissists live in fear of being exposed. They are terrified someone might find out they aren't as perfect as they pretend to be. When you say something that shows you see their real face, not the one they show the world, they panic inside. That one sentence can feel like a mirror, showing them the truth they've tried to hide for so long. And here's the hook. They can't handle the truth when it comes from someone calm and confident. That's what makes the sentence so powerful. You don't need to be angry or emotional. In fact, the quieter you are, the more it scares them. Because you are not reacting the way they expect. You are not afraid anymore. That's the real power. When you speak the truth out loud, even in just one sentence, it's like their house of lies begins to fall down. You are no longer playing their game. You are no longer under their control. That one moment, that one sentence, can be the start of your freedom. And for them, it's the moment they realize they've lost control over you forever. Narcissists act like they're the smartest, strongest, or most important person in the room. They want others to admire them, listen to them, and follow their lead. But what many people don't see is what's hiding behind that big personality: fear. Deep inside, narcissists are scared of being found out. They build a fake image of themselves, like a mask, to hide the truth. They don't want anyone to know they aren't perfect. They fear being exposed more than anything else in the world. They lie, twist words, and blame others to protect this fake image. If something goes wrong, it's never their fault. If someone disagrees with them, they make that person feel guilty or stupid. They do all this because they're terrified of being seen for who they really are. Someone insecure and unsure on the inside. This fear is their biggest weak spot. And this is why the one sentence works. It's not just words. It's a spotlight on the part of themselves they try hardest to hide. When you understand this, you see how fragile their power really is. They act strong, but their strength is built on lies and control. They can't handle truth, especially when it comes calmly, without fear. The moment you show them that you see through their mask, it shakes them. They feel exposed, they feel weak. And that's why the sentence you're about to learn is so powerful. It doesn't attack them with anger. It reveals them with truth. And truth to a narcissist is like a crack in their armor. Once the crack is there, it spreads. That's when they lose control, because you are no longer fooled. You've seen their weak spot, and they know they can't hide from you anymore. The only way to win with a toxic person is not to play. That quote by Mandy Hale says it all. But what if I told you there's one sentence that does more than just stop playing? It makes the narcissist fear you forever? Yes, just one powerful sentence that can turn the tables, end their control, and set you free. Sounds impossible, right? That's what they want you to believe. Narcissists thrive on control, manipulation, and fear. They make you question yourself, blame yourself, and even hate yourself. But the moment you see through their act, the moment you realize that you hold the power, everything starts to change. This is not just about calling them out. It's about breaking their mask, showing them you're no longer scared, and walking away stronger. And no, you don't need to shout, argue, or fight. You just need the right words, spoken with calm strength. In this video, I'm going to take you step by step through the mindset, the moment, and finally the sentence that shatters their control. If you've ever felt trapped, confused, or broken by someone who always made it about them, then you're in the right place. This might just be the moment you've been waiting for. So stay with me till the very end, because not only will I reveal that one sentence, I'll also explain exactly why it works. And hey, if you feel this message hits home, show some love by joining our growing community. We're a safe space for healing, learning, and standing up to emotional abuse. You're not alone anymore. This isn't just a video, it's your turning point. Let's dive in and take back your power, one word at a time. Narcissists like to appear perfect. They wear a mask every day, pretending to be kind, smart, or powerful. But deep down, they are very scared people. They don't want others to see their true selves. They want to stay in control by making others feel small, guilty, or unsure of themselves. That's how they keep power. But here's something they never expect, that one day you'll see through their act. And when that happens, you won't need to scream or argue. You'll only need one sentence, a sentence strong enough to shake their fake world. This sentence doesn't have to be long or loud. What matters is the truth behind it. Narcissists live in fear of being exposed. They are terrified someone might find out they aren't as perfect as they pretend to be. When you say something that shows you see their real face, not the one they show the world, they panic inside. That one sentence can feel like a mirror, showing them the truth they've tried to hide for so long. And here's the hook. They can't handle the truth when it comes from someone calm and confident. That's what makes a sentence so powerful. You don't need to be angry or emotional. In fact, the quieter you are, the more it scares them. Because you are not reacting the way they expect. You are not afraid anymore. That's the real power. When you speak the truth out loud, even in just one sentence, it's like their house of lies begins to fall down. You are no longer playing their game. You are no longer under their control. That one moment, that one sentence, can be the start of your freedom. And for them, it's the moment they realize they've lost control over you forever. Narcissists act like they're the smartest, strongest, or most important person in the room. They want others to admire them, listen to them, and follow their lead. But what many people don't see is what's hiding behind that big personality: fear. Deep inside, narcissists are scared of being found out. They build a fake image of themselves, like a mask, to hide the truth. They don't want anyone to know they aren't perfect. They fear being exposed more than anything else in the world. They lie, twist words, and blame others to protect this fake image. If something goes wrong, it's never their fault. If someone disagrees with them, they make that person feel guilty or stupid. They do all this because they're terrified of being seen for who they really are. Someone insecure and unsure on the inside. This fear is their biggest weak spot, and this is why the one sentence works. It's not just words, it's a spotlight on the part of themselves they try hardest to hide. When you understand this, you see how fragile their power really is. They act strong, but their strength is built on lies and control. They can't handle truth, especially when it comes calmly, without fear. The moment you show them that you see through their mask, it shakes them. They feel exposed, they feel weak. And that's why the sentence you're about to learn is so powerful. It doesn't attack them with anger. It reveals them with truth. And truth to a narcissist is like a crack in their armor. Once the crack is there, it spreads. That's when they lose control because you are no longer fooled. You've seen their weak spot and they know they can't hide from you anymore. Most people are taught to stay quiet during conflict. Don't cause drama, just ignore it. Be the bigger person. These are phrases many of us hear growing up. And yes, sometimes silence is wise. But when dealing with a narcissist, silence can become dangerous. Not for them, for you. Because silence in this case isn't peaceful. It's painful. It gives the narcissist more room to control, more space to twist your thoughts, and more power over your emotions. Narcissists love silence, not because they enjoy peace, but because they use your silence as a weapon against you. When you don't speak up, they feel untouchable. They believe you're too afraid, too unsure, or too weak to stand up for yourself. And the longer you stay quiet, the more they tighten their grip. They take your silence as agreement. Every time you don't respond to their lies, their blame, or their manipulation, they feel more powerful. They begin to believe they are winning. But you are not staying silent because you agree. You're quiet because you're tired, confused, hurt. You're trying to keep the peace, hoping things will get better. Sadly, with a narcissist, that peace never comes, unless they control it. That's why silence in this case only helps them, not you. Now here's where the shift happens. When you find your voice again, when you realize that your words matter, and not just any words, the right words. That one sentence you speak can be a turning point. It's not about yelling, arguing, or getting revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about finally saying, I see what you're doing, and I'm not afraid anymore. That sentence breaks the silence in the strongest way. Not with noise, but with clarity. Not with anger, but with truth. Speaking up shows them that their control is no longer working. You're not staying quiet and hoping for change. You're creating change with your voice. And when that voice is calm, steady, and sure, it shakes them to the core. Narcissists don't expect their victims to stand up. They expect silence. That's why your words hit harder than any scream ever could. So if you've been quiet for too long, thinking it was the safer choice, know this. Your silence doesn't protect you from them. It protects them from the truth. But once you speak, truly speak, the game changes. That one sentence doesn't just end the silence, it ends their control. And that's where your freedom begins. Narcissists don't control people by force. They do it with tricks, with words, and with emotions. They make you feel like they know what's best. They make you feel like you're the problem, even when you're not. This is how they keep power, through manipulation. They twist the truth, change the story, and make you doubt your own mind. And over time, you begin to believe them. That's the illusion of control. It looks like they're strong, confident, and always right, but it's all an act, a fake show to keep you confused, quiet, and unsure of yourself. They might say things like, "You're too sensitive," or "No one else would put up with you." They act like they care, but only when it suits them. One moment they love you, and the next they tear you down. This back and forth creates emotional confusion. You don't know what's real anymore. And when you feel unsure of yourself, it's easier for them to stay in control. That's their game. They feed off your self-doubt. The more confused you are, the more power they feel. But it's not real power. It's borrowed power, taken from your silence, your fear, and your hope that they'll change. The truth is, they don't want to change. They want to stay in control. But there's one thing that can stop them in their tracks. One sentence that shows them you're no longer afraid. This sentence cuts through their illusion like a knife. It shows them you see the truth. You're not confused anymore. You're not falling for their games. And most importantly, you're done giving them control over your thoughts and feelings. You say it calmly. You say it clearly. And in that moment, their whole act starts to fall apart. Because once you speak the truth, their lies lose power. Once you stop reacting with fear, their control fades. That one sentence breaks the spell. It reminds them, and you, that the power never belonged to them. They only had it because you didn't know how to take it back. But now you do. And with that sentence, you don't just end their illusion. You end their hold over you for good. The room is quiet, but everything inside you is shaking. Your heart beats louder than the words you're about to speak. You've gone over this moment in your head 100 times. You've cried, doubted yourself, and almost gave in again. But not this time. This time is different. This time you know the truth. And more importantly, you believe it. You've seen behind the mask. You've felt the games, the blame, the twisted words, and now all of it stops. Right here, right now. You take a step back, not to run, but to reclaim the space that's always been yours. You can feel the shift in your body, the lightness in your soul, and the sense of control that floods back into your being. You've walked away not with anger, not with fear, but with strength. You are the one who holds the power now. There's no need to look over your shoulder. The sentence you said wasn't just a rejection of their control. It was a declaration of your own independence. You don't need them to validate you. You don't need them to define you. The moment you spoke your truth, you freed yourself from their grasp. The quiet weight of their fear is the only thing left behind, a reminder of how fragile their hold really was. And so, as you walk away, you realize something profound. You're no longer a prisoner of their manipulation. You're free to think, to speak, and to live without the shadow of their control looming over you. You carry your power with you, steady and sure, knowing that no one, not even the narcissist, can take that away. That one sentence changed everything, and in doing so, it gave you back your life. When a narcissist hears something they can't control or manipulate, their response is typically driven by a desperate need to regain dominance and protect their fragile ego. Their reactions are usually extreme, and they will go to great lengths to avoid admitting any vulnerability. Here are some of the most common reactions narcissists exhibit when they feel their power slipping. Rage narcissists can react with explosive anger when confronted with the truth. Their reaction is often over the top, making them seem like they've been personally attacked. This anger is a defense mechanism used to intimidate and regain control. Their rage may involve shouting, insulting, or even physical gestures to make the other person feel scared or guilty. Denial. A classic narcissist response is outright denial. They might pretend the truth you spoke isn't real or doesn't matter. They'll try to convince you that what you said was a misunderstanding or that it's all in your head. Their goal is to make you question your reality and take the focus off their behavior. This is a way for them to preserve their perfect image, despite the cracks showing. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which the narcissist tries to make you doubt your perception of reality. They may twist your words, deny things they said or did, or even make you feel like you are the one in the wrong. If you've confronted them with the truth, they'll likely try to make you feel crazy or irrational as a way to regain control and shift the blame onto you. Projection is when a narcissist accuses you of the very behaviors or flaws they are guilty of. If you point out their manipulative behavior, they might accuse you of being manipulative or controlling. This is another tactic to deflect attention away from their faults and put the focus back on you, making you the bad guy in the situation. Shame and guilt tripping. In an attempt to manipulate you emotionally, narcissists may try to shame or guilt you. They'll say things like, "I can't believe you're doing this to me," or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" This is a strategy to make you feel bad and doubt your decision to stand up for yourself so they can reassert control over the situation. Silent treatment. When they can't manipulate or control the situation with rage or guilt, a narcissist might resort to giving you the silent treatment. This is an effort to punish you by withholding attention and affection. It's a way for them to regain the upper hand by making you feel like you need their approval, forcing you to chase them for validation. Minimizing narcissists may downplay the significance of your confrontation, brushing it off as unimportant or trivial. They might say things like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not that big of a deal." This tactic is meant to dismiss your feelings and make you believe that your experience of the situation doesn't matter. Flattery or love bombing. In some cases, a narcissist may try to regain control by suddenly being overly affectionate or flattering. This love-bombing tactic is often used to reel you back in after they've lost your attention or authority. They may shower you with compliments or promises of change, making you believe that they'll improve if you just give them another chance. Threats or intimidation. If a narcissist feels particularly cornered, they may resort to threats, either emotional or physical. This could involve saying things like, "You'll regret this," or making veiled threats about how your life will be harder without them. The goal here is to instill fear in you, so you back down and let them regain control. Each of these reactions serves a single purpose: to regain control. Narcissists cannot tolerate losing power, so they will use any of these. The sentence that breaks through the illusion, that shatters the control, and cuts through the manipulation like a blade. It's simple, but it's powerful. It's the truth, raw and unapologetic. You've spent time, maybe even years, living under their shadow, questioning yourself, doubting your worth, and letting their lies define your reality. But no more. Now you see clearly, and you stand in the power of your own truth. The sentence is not just words, it's a declaration. It is a statement of reclaiming your strength, of acknowledging the manipulation, and of refusing to be part of the game anymore. This is the moment when you stop playing by their rules. This is the sentence that dismantles everything they've built to keep you under their control. I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore. Powerful, simple, unyielding. This sentence is an acknowledgement of the truth. It doesn't need to be shouted or embellished. You're not seeking validation or approval. The narcissist will try to deflect, to gaslight, to make you second-guess your words. But you won't back down. You've seen behind the mask. You've felt the manipulation. You know their fear. And now you see them for who they truly are. And you are no longer afraid. The power lies in the clarity. The first part of the sentence, "I see who you really are," is a direct, unambiguous statement. It cuts straight to the heart of their carefully crafted illusion. It acknowledges that you have seen through their facade, their lies, and their manipulations. This is not about an emotional outburst. This is a realization. And when you say it, it's not for them, it's for you. You are asserting that you know the truth. There's no room for denial here, no room for confusion. The narcissist can't run from it, can't twist it. And then comes the second part. And you don't scare me anymore. This is where the power shifts. The narcissist thrives on fear. They control, manipulate, and dominate by creating an environment of uncertainty, doubt, and fear. But now you've stripped that fear away. You're standing in the truth, in the light of clarity, and they can no longer intimidate you. They don't hold power over you, not anymore. This sentence cuts through the lie of their strength and reveals their vulnerability. They may pretend it doesn't affect them, but you know, it does. This sentence is not about revenge. It's not about hurting them or making them feel weak. It's about you stepping into your own power, taking back what was always yours. Your voice, your strength, and your peace. It's about walking away from their manipulation with the confidence that you are no longer a victim. It's a turning point. It's the end of their reign of control. And with just a few words, you flip the script. You are the one in charge now. You don't need them, their validation, or their approval. And that, more than anything, is what terrifies them. This is your moment. This is your truth. And with this sentence, everything changes. What truly terrifies a narcissist isn't anger, isn't rage, and it isn't even the confrontation. It's indifference. When you say the sentence, when you look them in the eye and declare that you see who they really are and that they no longer scare you, you've taken away their power, not with rage, but with indifference. And that is what hits hardest. For a narcissist, control is everything. They live for validation, for the constant reinforcement of their superiority. They need to feel admired, feared, and above others. Everything they do, from their manipulations to their grandiose claims, is about maintaining this illusion of power and dominance. The narcissist feeds off attention, whether positive or negative. Even negative attention, like anger or insults, keeps them in the center of the drama and allows them to manipulate the situation. It's all fuel to their ego. But indifference is like kryptonite. Indifference says that they no longer matter to you. It says that their power has no effect on you anymore. It's the ultimate rejection, not of their behavior, but of their entire existence in your life. You are no longer a puppet on their strings, reacting to every pull and tug they make. You are free, emotionally detached, and most importantly, you no longer give them the power they desperately need to feel superior. Think about it. A narcissist thrives on control. They play games, provoke emotional reactions, twist your words, and manipulate your feelings because they need to see that they can influence you. They need to feel that they can bend you to their will. But when you respond with indifference, it's like you've cut the strings. No matter what they do, they can't get you to react the way they want. Their manipulation becomes ineffective. When you say, "You don't scare me anymore," you're not just rejecting their behavior. You're rejecting them. You're removing them from the center of your world. You're telling them that their control, their influence, their games, none of it works on you anymore. You've taken the power back, and you've done so without even raising your voice. You've shown them that their attempts to manipulate and control you no longer have any impact. This is terrifying because it exposes their greatest fear, vulnerability. When they can't manipulate you or trigger an emotional reaction, they are left with their own emptiness. Their inflated sense of self begins to deflate. They can no longer hide behind their manipulations or their masks. And in the silence of your indifference, the narcissist is forced to face the truth that they are no longer the center of your world. And that realization can be crushing. What makes this response even more powerful is that it's not fueled by emotion. It's not about you getting angry, upset, or seeking revenge. The narcissist is used to that. They thrive in that chaos. But indifference is not something they can feed off. It doesn't offer them the validation they crave. It doesn't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still have control over you. In the face of indifference, they have no reaction to manipulate. It's the absence of any need for their approval or attention that terrifies them. When you stop reacting to their games, stop feeding into their need for drama or validation, you've taken away everything that gives them power. And that, more than anything, is their worst nightmare. To feel powerless, invisible, irrelevant. When you no longer play their game, you leave them with nothing but the cold, harsh truth. They are nothing without the ability to manipulate or control others. In that moment, you've stripped away the illusion they've built around themselves. And that's what makes them truly afraid. Indifference is the ultimate rejection because it exposes their lack of substance and reveals how fragile their ego truly is. You've stopped being a player in their drama, and they can't handle that loss of control. They might try to provoke you, blame you, or shift the narrative, but it's too late. The damage is done. You've taken back your power, and in doing so, you've rendered their manipulation useless. And that's the most terrifying thing they can face. When you deliver the sentence, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." Calmly, it's like you've just turned their world upside down. Your calmness becomes their chaos. While they are used to stirring up emotions, provoking reactions, and getting under your skin, your emotional control completely disarms them. It's like a game of emotional judo, where you use their attempts to manipulate and control against them without lifting a finger. Narcissists thrive on chaos. They manipulate situations to create emotional turbulence, pushing your buttons until you react, whether it's anger, frustration, guilt, or even fear. When you react to their provocations, they feel validated. They regain control of the situation because your emotional response feeds into their narrative. You become part of the drama they've orchestrated. But calmness is something they can't control. When you speak your truth in a steady, composed manner, not only are you refusing to engage in their emotional games, but you're also sending a very clear message. You are no longer playing by their rules. Narcissists expect a reaction, and when they don't get one, when you stay calm and unmoved, they're thrown off balance. They've lost their leverage, and it leaves them scrambling for control. It's like emotional judo because, in this moment, you are redirecting their energy. The narcissist thrives on reactions. They need that emotional spark to feel powerful, to feel like they can control the situation. But when you don't give them what they want, their attempts to manipulate fall flat. It's like they've thrown a punch, but you've sidestepped it, using their own momentum against them. This calmness doesn't mean you're passive. It means you've gained control of your emotions and, in doing so, taken control of the situation. Narcissists often rely on escalating conflict to maintain dominance, and they expect to win by provoking strong emotional reactions. But when you don't bite, when you stay composed, it leaves them vulnerable. They can't manipulate you into their drama. And that unpredictability, your emotional self-control, is what they can't handle. What's even more powerful is that your calmness forces them to confront their own tactics. When you respond with indifference, it's as though you pulled the rug out from under them. They can no longer gaslight you, make you feel guilty, or even escalate the situation. They may try to push harder, but they're essentially running into a wall, one that you've built with your composed, calm energy. In their eyes, your calmness is an attack. It exposes their lack of control, their fragility, and their inability to dominate the situation anymore. Narcissists thrive in chaos, but your calm is a mirror that reflects their disarray. And when they see that mirror, when they realize they can't provoke you into emotional turmoil, that's when the chaos begins inside them. The more calm and steady you remain, the more they are forced to face the truth of their own insecurity and fragility. They want you to be agitated, upset, or reactive because that allows them to continue their manipulation. But when you're calm, you're not giving them that power. Instead, you're creating an emotional disconnect. Their attempts to regain control bounce off of you, and they have nowhere to turn. Once you've delivered the powerful sentence, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore," you've taken back your power. But the work doesn't stop there. Narcissists don't let go of control easily, and their retaliation can be swift and harsh. Setting boundaries after you've made that declaration is essential to protect yourself from their attempts to regain dominance. Narcissists often respond to the loss of control with one of their classic tactics: rage, manipulation, or attempts to reestablish control through guilt or intimidation. They're not used to being confronted with the truth, especially when their emotional games no longer work. They might try to provoke you, deny your reality, or escalate the situation in an attempt to pull you back into their web of manipulation. This is why setting and enforcing strong boundaries is critical to ensure that they cannot re-enter your life on their terms. Use the no as a complete sentence. One of the most powerful tools you have after confronting a narcissist is learning to say no without further explanation. Narcissists will often try to make you feel guilty or pressure you into changing your mind by asking why or trying to make you justify your decision. Your no is enough. You don't owe them any explanations, and you don't need to provide reasons for why you are protecting yourself. A simple, firm no tells them that you're no longer available for their games. For example, if they try to manipulate you by saying something like, "You're being unreasonable," you don't need to defend your position. You can simply say, "That's not how I see it," or "That's not something I'm willing to engage with." Don't allow them to control the conversation or shift the narrative. 3. Maintain emotional detachment. It's easy to fall into old patterns when a narcissist tries to re-engage with you emotionally. They may use tactics like emotional blackmail, gaslighting, or even love bombing to try to draw you back in. But remember, you've already declared that their emotional manipulation no longer works on you. Maintaining emotional detachment is key. This doesn't mean being cold or cruel. Rather, it means not allowing their emotional outbursts or provocations to affect you. If they try to provoke a reaction, stay calm and don't allow yourself to be pulled into an emotional exchange. It may be helpful to remind yourself that they are acting out of their need for control, and their attempts to manipulate you aren't about your feelings. They're about keeping you hooked. 4. Limit communication. When you've set your boundaries, it's crucial to limit your communication with the narcissist as much as possible. If you continue to engage with them, even minimally, they will likely find ways to slip through the cracks of your boundaries and manipulate you. Depending on your situation, it may be helpful to block them on social media, limit phone calls, or restrict contact to specific channels, like email, where it's easier to control the conversation. In some cases, it may even be necessary to cut off contact entirely, especially if the narcissist refuses to respect your boundaries or continues to escalate the situation. While this can be difficult, it may be the only way to ensure that they no longer have access to your life. 5. Reinforce your boundaries with consequences. It's important that your boundaries come with consequences if they're violated. Narcissists won't respect boundaries unless there's a clear consequence for crossing them. For example, if they try to manipulate or guilt trip you after you've already said no, you might respond with something like, "If you continue this behavior, I will have to end this conversation." Or, "If you don't respect my boundaries, I will have to block you." The key here is to follow through with the consequence if they cross the line. If you say you will block them or disengage, do it. Narcissists thrive on testing limits and pushing boundaries. They won't stop unless they see that you're serious about your personal limits and willing to take action. 6. Protect your mental and emotional space. After you've confronted a narcissist and set boundaries, make sure you're protecting your mental and emotional space. Surround yourself with supportive people who respect your boundaries. Knowing when and where to use the sentence, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore," is crucial for maximizing its impact. This powerful declaration isn't something you use casually. It's meant for moments when you need to assert your power and break free from the narcissist's control. Here are a few real-life situations where this sentence can be most effective. 1. During a breakup. Breakups with narcissists are often drawn out, emotionally draining experiences. Narcissists rarely want to let go of a relationship because they see their partner as a source of supply, attention, admiration, and validation. When they sense they're losing their grip, they may try to manipulate, guilt trip, or emotionally blackmail you into staying. This is the perfect moment to use the sentence. After enduring months or years of emotional manipulation, you might finally decide that you've had enough. When the narcissist tries to pull you back into their web with their typical emotional tactics, you can calmly say, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." This sentence not only signals that you're no longer afraid to leave, but also that you see through their tactics and no longer need their validation. The breakup becomes an empowering moment for you, not a manipulative power struggle that they can control. This will throw them off, forcing them to confront the fact that they no longer have power over you. 2. In a toxic conversation. Narcissists often thrive in toxic, one-sided conversations, where they twist your words, deflect blame, and try to control the narrative. They may use passive-aggressive tactics, guilt, or even insults to keep you off balance, trying to provoke a reaction from you. If you find yourself stuck in one of these conversations, this is the moment to use the sentence. Imagine a situation where they start attacking your character, blaming you for everything wrong in the relationship, or accusing you of things that aren't true. You can stay calm and say, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." This sentence disrupts their emotional manipulation. The narcissist's power lies in making you feel confused, guilty, or defensive. But by responding with calm indifference, you're not giving them the emotional reaction they want. Your words not only expose their behavior, but also force them to face the truth they've been trying to avoid, that their manipulation no longer works on you. 3. At the end of a manipulation cycle. Narcissists often cycle through phases of idealization, devaluation, and discard. During the idealization phase, they charm and manipulate you, convincing you that you're special and unique. Then during the devaluation phase, they begin to tear you down, criticize you, and emotionally exhaust you, all while still keeping you on a string for their own benefit. Eventually, they may try to discard you, or in some cases, provoke a reaction so they can re-enter the cycle. At the point when they attempt to discard you, or if they are in the midst of a devaluation cycle, that's when the sentence becomes a weapon. They may be trying to control the situation one last time, either by making you beg for their attention or by emotionally abandoning you. This is when you look them in the eye, calmly deliver the sentence, and walk away from the manipulation. For example, after months of emotional manipulation, you might finally realize that they have been using you as an emotional punching bag. Maybe they've tried to discard you once before, only to come back when they need attention or validation. In this situation, you can use the sentence to put an end to the cycle. Saying, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore," breaks the cycle. It doesn't give them the emotional reaction they crave. It leaves them with nothing to manipulate or use. And when they realize you've stopped playing their game, they may try to retaliate with anger, blame, or more manipulation. But at this point, their influence over you is gone. 4. When they try to gaslight you. Gaslighting is a common manipulation tactic used by narcissists, where they make you question your perception of reality. They may twist your words, deny things that have happened, or make you doubt your memory in order to gain control over your thoughts and emotions. If a narcissist is gaslighting you and trying to make you believe that your feelings or experiences are invalid, this is a powerful moment to use the sentence. Imagine a situation where they're denying something that you know to be true, or twisting your words to make you feel like you're the one who's wrong. Instead of arguing or defending yourself, you calmly say, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." By doing so, you're not just asserting that you see through their manipulation, you're also telling them that their attempts to make you question your reality have no power over you anymore. Sarah had been in a relationship with a narcissist for 3 years. At first, it was all love bombing and promises of forever, but soon the devaluation phase kicked in. Her partner would belittle her, manipulate her emotions, and even gaslight her into thinking she was crazy. She felt trapped, unsure of how to leave. One evening, after another emotional outburst where he blamed her for everything wrong in the relationship, Sarah snapped. She finally saw through his manipulations and realized she didn't have to tolerate it anymore. She looked him dead in the eye and said, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." Her heart raced, but she felt a sense of relief wash over her. He was stunned, speechless for the first time. She didn't engage in a back-and-forth fight. She simply walked away and didn't look back. It wasn't easy, but that one sentence marked the end of his hold on her. She reclaimed her life, her power, and her peace. 2. Mark's story. Standing up to a manipulative boss. Mark had worked for a narcissistic boss for years. His boss constantly took credit for Mark's hard work, belittled him in meetings, and manipulated him into working long hours without recognition. Mark felt cornered, afraid that speaking out would cost him his job. But one day after his boss took credit for a project Mark had spent weeks perfecting, Mark knew something had to change. In the middle of a tense meeting, with everyone watching, Mark stood up and said, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." The room went silent. His boss froze. His usual confidence shattered. Mark had finally taken a stand. From that moment, things shifted. He began asserting his boundaries, refusing to accept the toxic behavior, and eventually he left the job, walking away with his dignity intact. That one sentence gave him the courage to reclaim his power and move on to a healthier career path. 3. Lily's story. Overcoming the gaslighting from a family member. Lily had spent her whole life dealing with a narcissistic parent who would constantly gaslight her, telling her that her emotions were invalid or that she was imagining things. It was exhausting. No matter what she did, her parent always found a way to turn the blame on her. One day, after yet another instance where her parent twisted the truth and made her feel like she was the problem, Lily felt a shift inside. She calmly turned to them and said, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." Her parent was taken aback, shocked into silence. For the first time, Lily didn't apologize or try to explain herself. She was done trying to convince them that she was in the right. That sentence became a turning point in their relationship. It didn't immediately change everything, but Lily finally realized that she had the power to protect her emotional space, and she no longer had to fall for their manipulations. 4. John's story. Escaping the cycle of love bombing and devaluation. John had been in a toxic, on and off relationship with a narcissistic ex who would alternate between showering him with affection and then devaluing him with cruel remarks. It left him confused, emotionally drained, and questioning his worth. One night, after months of enduring the verbal abuse and emotional games, John had a moment of clarity. He realized that he was the one holding himself back from moving on, because he was afraid of losing the validation that came with their relationship. At the height of another heated argument, John stood firm, looked his ex in the eyes and said, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." His ex was speechless, caught off guard. John felt a surge of power rush through him, and he walked away from the relationship for good. That sentence wasn't just a declaration. It was the moment he realized that he didn't need their approval or manipulation to feel whole. It was the moment he took control of his life. Emma had a friend who was narcissistic, always making everything about themselves and draining Emma's emotional energy. Whenever Emma needed support, her friend was nowhere to be found, but when the narcissist needed something, Emma would drop everything. After years of trying to make the friendship work, Emma finally reached a breaking point. During a confrontation, after her friend tried to guilt trip her once again, Emma took a deep breath and calmly said, "I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore." Her friend's face twisted in confusion, and for the first time, Emma didn't let herself be drawn back into their emotional drama. Emma enforced her boundaries, started prioritizing her own needs, and eventually distanced herself from the toxic friendship. The sentence marked the end of the emotional manipulation, and Emma finally felt free to live her life on her own terms. You don't have to fear them anymore. For so long, you may have felt trapped in their web of manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional abuse. You've been taught to doubt yourself, second-guess your every move, and question your worth. But the truth is, you don't have to live in fear of them any longer. The emotional chaos, the emotional roller coaster, it doesn't have to control your life. You are in charge of your own fate, and the key to breaking free starts with one simple, powerful sentence. One sentence can end the game. It's not just words. It's not about being cruel or vengeful. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about standing up for yourself, for your boundaries, and for your truth. The narcissist in your life may have made you feel small, insignificant, or even crazy. They may have twisted reality and made you feel like you were the one at fault. But that's what narcissists do. They play games. They manipulate. They use your emotions against you to feed their fragile egos. They need you to fear them, to believe they are in control. But you're smarter than that. You've seen through their facade. You know exactly what they're doing. So what happens when you finally see through their games? What happens when you no longer allow their tactics to affect you? That's when the real magic happens. That's when you become untouchable. When you realize that you have the ability to walk away from their manipulations with one simple, bold statement, you change the entire game. I see who you really are, and you don't scare me anymore. This sentence isn't just for show. It's a powerful declaration of independence. It tells the narcissist that their manipulations don't work on you anymore. It tells them that you no longer need their validation, their attention, or their control. It's the moment you stop playing by their rules and start playing by your own. You take back your emotional and mental space, and they no longer have the power to affect you. But here's the thing. The sentence works because it comes from a place of indifference, not anger. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They want to provoke you into anger or guilt so that they can regain control. But when you say this sentence calmly, without rage or defensiveness, you completely disarm them. They are used to controlling people through emotional outbursts, but when you respond with cool detachment, they are left with nothing. Your calm is their chaos. It's important to remember that narcissists are terrified of exposure. The last thing they want is for someone to see through their carefully constructed mask. When you deliver that sentence, you are forcing them to confront the truth they have been hiding from, that they no longer have control over you. They are no longer the center of your world, and that, more than anything, is what terrifies them. Now, this sentence won't change them. It won't magically make them a better person, and it won't suddenly make them stop being manipulative. Narcissists rarely change, and expecting them to do so is setting yourself up for disappointment. But what it will do is shift the power dynamic. It'll remind them that you are not someone they can easily manipulate anymore. They might try to retaliate, gaslight you, or deny everything you said. They might turn on the charm, pull out every emotional trick they have, or try to guilt you into backing down, but you are no longer in their grip. So how do you protect yourself after delivering this powerful sentence? By setting strong boundaries. After you say this sentence, you must be prepared to enforce your boundaries. Narcissists will often try to test your limits to see if you're serious. They may try to lure you back into their drama or manipulate you into feeling guilty for standing up for yourself. But the moment you let your guard down, they will try to regain control. That's why your boundaries are so important. They are your shield. Once you've delivered the sentence, it's time to stand firm in your resolve. Don't engage in any emotional exchanges. Don't feel the need to explain yourself. Your no is enough. When they try to manipulate you, you don't need to explain why you're setting boundaries or defending your space. Simply say no and leave it at that. Your words are powerful and you don't need to justify them. Take control of your own life. Walk away from the narcissist's attempts to draw you back in. If they try to engage you in toxic conversations or manipulate you emotionally, remind yourself that you don't need to entertain their games. You are free. You hold the power now. Here's the thing. This isn't just about the narcissist. This is about you. It's about reclaiming your sense of self-worth and emotional independence. It's about no longer allowing someone else to dictate your reality. And it's about standing tall in your own truth, no matter what anyone else says or does. You are worthy of peace, love, and respect. You don't need anyone to validate that.